So Corinne will take
Okay.
over since he has a good connection, right?
Yep, and then just a reminder that everyone, if you can mute, unless you have something to say, we get less feedback and stuff. So I will turn it over to Corinne and I will mute myself.
Okay. Welcome everybody to the Lake of the Woods School ISD 390 working session. I guess we'll just start out right now with the Citizens Forum. Jeff, were there any requests for the Citizens Forum?
No, I'm getting some feedback with the live tube right now. All right, let's try that again. Sorry about that.
Okay, so no request for the Citizens Forum, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So then we can move on to reports, board committees. First up would be, only, I guess, Buildings and Grounds Committee.
You wanna
Seth,
take-
I think we'll defer to you.
What was that, Boyd? You're on mute.
Oh, try it
There you
now.
go.
All I was saying was, I think we'll defer to you. Go ahead and take over.
All right. So pretty much what we did with the Buildings and Grounds Committee is just kind of looking at some of the upcoming projects and stuff that we have, around the school. And just kind of trying to figure out and prioritize what's a priority, what we need to look at, what could be done in the future, and just kind of start laying it out, looking at it. And that's pretty much about it. Is there anything else you could think of, Boyd?
Well, we've got a few projects that we're looking at,
Yeah.
like the chip seal and the energy audit that was mentioned last month. Seth described how outside agency did an audit on us, and our energy, we're doing so well that they really had to really look to find anything that we could improve on. There's a few items, but not too many. What else, Seth?
Just like the chip seal, that's about the biggest project. Starting to look at the outside of the building, the envelope, like sidewalks and stuff. What shape are they in? Can they be patched? Is this something we need to take care of? Kind of prioritize and look at outside projects like that at the school.
One thing with the chip seal that I want everyone to know about, and I think we've talked with most of the board members, but if anyone in the community is listening right now, the purpose for doing the chip seal, yep, we just repaved the roads. Doing a chip seal now, and this is coming from MnDOT research and everything else. If we spend a little bit of money now, it should extend the life of that pavement much longer than if we didn't do the chip seal. And that's why we're looking at doing it. It's bang for the buck. It's should work out the best.
The only other thing that I think is just might be of interest to the board is the difference in that school disinfecting system that you're looking at, Seth. It's not a huge expenditure, but it's a change. So I just thought might be interesting to some people.
Yep, all that's coming. I got all that listed down in F under the buildings and grounds. So when we get to that point, then we'll go through
Okay,
and we'll pick it apart.
okay.
Thanks for the reminder, Lynn. Oh, that's about all I got for the Buildings and Grounds Committee.
Okay. Thank you, Seth.
You're welcome.
Next will be the Superintendent Elementary Principal Report from Jeff Nelson.
Okay, hopefully you're not getting the live feedback from my computer here. Excuse me. First thing I have is the enrollment report. We're up 4 students. We're at 494 district-wide, one in the high school. We're at 230, and elementary is at 264 with 3 additional students. In the write-up that I sent out in the working packet, I have a report on our budget reduction options for FY21. We're looking at about $200,000 roughly of cost reductions so that we can stay out of the red next year. A few extra concerns with the economic impact of COVID-19. In my write-up, I talked about how the state doesn't send us 100% of our state aid during the school year. Usually we get like 80 or 20% or 90, 10%. So they hold over a certain percentage to the next fiscal year. And there's various reasons they do that. There's some adjustments that are made with ADMs and stuff like that. It's also a mechanism they use when they have a shortfall. I was going to do some more research, but I know probably the biggest gap would have been, and I'm not sure what year it was, but it was 70%, 30%. So the districts got 70% of their state aid during that fiscal year. And then the other 30% was held over to the next year. So if we get to that point, that could have an impact on our budgets in the near future. Some of the cost savings that I'm recommending or will be recommending, we'll do this in May. There's no action today, so this is time to think about it. We're expecting about 21 kindergartners. We're looking to have a single section. There was retirement. Mrs. Stanton is retiring. We will not fill that position, and that'll save about $80-some thousand. We've had some other new hires with social studies and special ed. We're advertising right now for a science, and we're still trying to fill a second special ed. So we're estimating roughly about $40,000, but that's just a rough estimate depending on where we place new hires on the salary schedule. We have the high school English Spanish resignation. We're looking at some alternatives to hiring a full-time teacher for Spanish and English. We're looking at some ITV options. So we're looking at possible savings ranging from 20 to 30,000. Again, that depends on what the tuition costs and what options we can come up with. Transportation, I know there's going to be some route consolidations. There's a partial short route that will be probably eliminated. So we're looking at about 35,000 savings there. And that includes holding off on one of our bus leases. Also on there was some changes with our ODC contract. And more of the burden was going to be placed on the district. It would basically double our commitment for that. So we are not going to renew that for the next fiscal year. And then we're still 10 to 20,000 short of getting to that 200,000 cuts. So we're looking at some other cuts as well.
Jeff,
Go ahead.
just a couple of comments. I've had a couple of concerns just brought up to me. Concerns about, I don't know what the exact, I'm not, I know Mrs. Hasbargen Gloak, you know, I know some of the classes she taught, I don't know the exact, but there has been some concern about some of those classes being replaced by like an online or like ITV method, which I guess I would be interested to know a little bit more about that before a firm decision is made. And then also just a concern about potentially the kindergarten class. If a situation should arise like this last year where, you know, we decide a little bit into the school that we've gained a few more kids and then maybe there's too much for a kindergarten class, you know, it wouldn't take too many and then that'd be a really large kindergarten class. So anyways, I just wanted to bring those thoughts forward about things that I've been approached about. So just recently, so.
Okay. Well, budgets are never easy. When you're making cuts, it's never fun. There's always reasons why we shouldn't cut one thing or another. As far as the kindergarten, I've met with Mrs. Beckman and I've talked to the Head Start teachers and looking at the students. We will set a number where if it gets to a certain range, we would add a para support person. That's probably how we would get through the year with this group. As far as the high school Spanish, Mr. Novak's working with Bemidji, and he'll probably maybe talk a little bit more later about this. The ITV Spanish, we've done it in the past. It's not ideal, but there are some cost savings there, and we don't know what the fall is going to bring, and we don't know how easy it would be to actually find a Spanish teacher. But I think we need to look at some of those tough approaches because we're really not. We're still offering the programming. I think we should try to do that, but we need to make some budget cuts. If you look at the number of students that we're losing, you know, and the amount, you know, about 130,000 is just coming from the high school reduction in students. So I think we need to keep that in mind. College in the classroom, there's lots of options for that level. A lot of kids take the online college in the classroom course. I mean, so those are options that they can still get that college credit. It just we won't be able to offer a face-to-face teacher here. So maybe Mr. Novak wants to talk about that. You won't get support from some people on those moves, but those will probably be my recommendation because we have to make some tough choices. And I think this is a workable solution for next year to try to keep offering the programs, but do it in a cost savings way. Other related.
Before you abandon that, Jeff, when I look at the math of savings of 20 to 30,000, how do you arrive at that number when you have a teacher retirement? And then are you looking at doing one or the other, or is that how much the online actually costs, about 50% of that teacher's salary?
That was just roughly what it would cost based on estimates on student tuition cost and what it would cost the district to keep those programs going. Did I answer your question or not? Okay, so they're just rough estimates. It's kind of a shot in the dark because you don't know how many kids are going to register for the class. We're still working with Bemidji. I don't know if we've heard how much those tuition costs will be. We can base it off of what we've done with Apex and other online learning options that we've had. So these aren't my first choices with doing this, but this is how I feel we need to move forward if we want to balance our budget. And I think every $10,000-$20,000 adds up. And we talk about positions and hiring people, that compounds over years as well. So I think we need to look at kind of what our future holds for numbers. And I don't have it in the packet, but I can get you kind of a estimate over the years how the numbers will be going up into the high school class sizes. And it's fairly grim a few years there with some small classes that are coming into the high school. So I think we need to face the fact that we're pretty much a 2-section school across the board. And I don't know if, I mean, right now we have a halftime English in there with some Spanish. So I think we need to look at how we can consolidate that the best we can. And no, it's not perfect. If we could hire another English, Spanish teacher, I'd be all for that. But I don't think that's a viable option. Anything?
I'll chime in
Go ahead.
with the, I mean, I guess, like you said, I mean, it'd be nice if you could have a physical person there. Wanted potential advantages. Now the kids can choose what language they want that would, I mean, I guess they always could before, but I mean, having a physical Spanish teacher there, most kids would have taken Spanish. Well, opening it up to online, now you can pretty much go with whatever the kid's interested in. And I mean, it's the wave of the future. It's the way it's going to go. So it's all we can do. And I guess, Jeff, I mean, keep going. I mean, it's what you have to do. So it's tough.
Unless there's other options, I mean, we can look at other options, but I think when you look at $200,000, you really have to look at staffing reductions somewhere. You're not going to get there with reducing bus routes and pushing bus leases 2-3 years. So I think we got to consider that at least. So other budget related issues, this is more for the current fiscal year. I sent out some information on the House Tax Committee looking at delaying some of the property tax collections for the counties. A while back, I think it was last week, I spoke with our county auditor and we had a good conversation. And it looks like I wouldn't be surprised. It's kind of up to the state. The state kind of sets those dates. It's kind of up to the county to determine whether they'll have penalties or not. But I would be surprised. I haven't had a chance to go back and look at that, if there's been any more movement on that. But I wouldn't be surprised if they delay the May payment into July. And we get our state aid payment, usually comes 2 times a month, except for the month of June. So that's probably the month that we would probably get hit with possible shortage with our cash flow to pay bills and salaries. Crystal's been working on crunching some of the numbers. We do have options as far as short-term loans. Maybe she wants to just hit on that a little bit when we get to the budget report. But that's something that we need to be looking at. So any questions so far with that? Update on daycare services. Back in March, it seems like 2 years ago now, we met with Joanna Onstead and Jody Ferrier. I did put in the report here, kind of what we discussed. I'd like us to move forward, and I'd like to get the board's blessing behind moving towards more of a daycare provider with the option of going into a daycare center down the road. I look at it as a 2 to 3 year process. I don't think we're in a position to go right into a daycare center. I don't think we would be successful finding licensed people. I think it would be very costly to get the room set up and meet all the DHS or qualifications. I think that our best bet, if we want to have something in place next year, we have the space. I think there's some potential candidates who have expressed interest in working towards licensure and going into a daycare center type relationship. But I think the best bet right now is if we can get it up and running. I think we have 2 people that would come in as daycare providers. We have a couple rooms that we're looking at. Not sure what next fall is going to bring, but I think it'd be nice to be in a position when kids can come back into the building and we get some kind of semblance of normalcy. We have that daycare option. But a daycare center would be ideal because it would give us more seats and more room for kids. This is not, even with these 2 providers, it's not going to fix our community shortfall with daycare, but it should help a little bit. So any questions on that? Moving on, I had a meeting again before all of this happened, early March, with Rod Cito from MnDOT. And I put in your working packet the map of the land that they're looking to acquire along Trunk Highway 72. That's been kind of up in the air. We haven't discussed anything further. At that time, they were going to have it assessed and they would come back with a proposal and then we'd go through that process. So take a look at that. If you have any questions or anything you want me to communicate with Mr. Cito, I can do that. But I think it would make sense that we kind of move forward with that little piece of land there. It doesn't do us much good.
I'll chime in real quick on that.
Okay, all right.
Have we had land appraised or anything, or has MnDOT said anything about the potential appraisal amount?
We haven't gotten into the details on that. But I think that would be probably one of the next steps, as long as the board is comfortable with moving forward with that.
Because ideally, and the way MnDOT usually does it, like, for example, I mean, the location where it's at, even though it's just a sliver, say it's worth arbitrarily $5,000 an acre because it's in town, it's residential, it's riverfront, blah, 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 that sort of thing. We might be able to add to, say, the school forest over by the Blueberry Hill, and where they would transfer over an equivalent monetary amount of state land to the school. And that would definitely be something worth looking into, because then you'd have trees, you'd have the logging, you'd have the money coming in from that sort of thing.
Yep. That's a good suggestion. It did not come up in our conversation.
I'm going to chime in on this, that at forestry, we've discussed a couple of different occasions trading out different chunks of land for state land. And I think Becky Lean is the one sort of the liaison going between there. And it's a very slow moving process for some reason. I think that they were talking 2 years on land swaps from the DNR side of things. So it might really be a hurdle. I mean, we can look into it obviously, but I think it might be a very slow moving hurdle.
Jeff, did he mention what they were actually going to use that property for? Is it just for easements or what?
Yeah, it sounded like it was just for easement for the construction. And I don't know, once they get done with it, if they would hang on to it or if that would be something that would transfer to the city possibly, whatever is not used. I'm not.
Usually MnDOT purchases their right of way, and so then MnDOT owns the right of way. It's not just an easement, it's
Okay.
actual ownership of the land.
That would be nice to know exactly what somewhere in that process. I'm sure we're going to know what they're planning on doing with it. I'm assuming.
Yeah.
To be fairly, I mean, they've got a plan on what they want to do.
I will follow up with them. Like I said, this is a month ago that we had this conversation, so I will follow up with that. Anything else on that? Then distance learning, we all know that we're going to finish out the year via distance learning. May 1st and May 4th will be planning days for staff. And we'll be looking at, we need to revise portions of our plan to include making sure that we're making accommodations for special ed students and students that are non-engaged. There's certain things that the state wants us to look at to revise. We all know that it's not a perfect solution. It's far from it. We have some households, some parents and students that are struggling with this whole having to educate their kids at home. It's kind of burdensome for a lot of them. So we're trying to come up with a way how we can support them as best we can. So that's what we'll be spending Friday and Monday on. But we have a lot of good things going on at the same time, but we just have a few gaps that we need to close to make things a little bit better for everyone.
Overall, what do you think? What are your thoughts on it? Like, I've got 2 kids still in school, and one kid's really adapting very well to online. Another one, not quite so much. So I'm just curious how the school district overall, especially the elementary, I don't have any elementary kids. How's it going?
It's going about as well as it can, but I think you hit it on the nail. It works very well for some kids if that's their learning style and they can connect. You know, they have the internet to do it and they have the support of their parents at home. But it's certainly not for every kid. It's almost a disaster in some households, and I use that sparingly, just because of, we all know that our connection for the internet isn't always the best in a lot of our areas. So that can be a roadblock. We have parents that might have 4 or 5 kids, plus they have to go to work. So I have some really big concerns. I don't think this is the perfect solution at all. So we're trying to make the best out of a tough situation. One thing we're looking at is trying to identify those households and trying to set up mentors or tutors or just someone to connect with the kids face to face on a regular basis, just to keep that positive relationship going. But I think for our little district, we're probably doing better than some other districts that are really struggling. I think if you look at our attendance, that check-in that we do, we're getting 90% of the families and kids that are checking them in. Engagement, I think we have a few more struggles there. I don't think it's near that 90%. So I think everyone's trying, and I think parents are trying. We just need to find where we need to give a little more support in some households. And I think you kind of hit it also, Boyd, when you said you have 2 kids in the same household, probably with good connection and good parent support. And even with that in consideration, you've identified that this isn't the best learning for one of them. So I think it's an option for a lot of kids, but it's not the perfect solution.
Jeff,
One quick-
go ahead, Boyd.
Okay, I was just going to say one quick thing. Man, wow, kudos to Miss Tangy, because she's giving through, I don't know exactly how, if it's Zoom or whatever, essentially individual lessons to each kid. I don't know how often it happens, but that's that's a lot of kids, and that's a lot of individual lessons. So kudos to her.
Is there a way to monitor this besides just what we're hearing? I mean, I'm hearing this also from some parents that, like Boyd said, that some are doing well, some are failing. And is there some way that we can monitor this, that we've got a good, accurate something in place that we can at least address these instead of just individuals or something like that?
We have basically a master list, and a lot of it is checking in with parents and students to see how things are going. We've got In the elementary, I have a team of staff that are making that connection and documenting when we connect with them, finding out what their needs are and documenting how we're intervening or what supports we're offering. We can monitor it. Like I said, the attendance is one way of monitoring that engagement. Teachers should be monitoring kids that aren't turning things in. But we're kind of developing a master list of where we feel there's gaps and what families we need to be working more solidly with. I don't know if that answers your question.
Would there also, I know there's a lot of different, for even the teachers are doing it different ways.
Yeah,
And kudos to Ms. Tangy. I know, she's doing that. That might be on one spectrum, but I'm sure on that other spectrum, there's some that are just posting things and there isn't much contact with the students. Is there some way that we can even, is there a correlation there between certain learning that teachers are doing it a certain way? Are those kids struggling more than somebody that's doing more online visual things with the students?
yep. That's a good question. Because you're right. We have some teachers that are darn near 100% e-learning. Probably more so in the high school, upper elementary. And then we have the younger kids, the kindergarten kids that are probably more of the pencil paper. And it ranges from that extreme to the other. A lot of them are doing a combination where they're doing the Facebook chats and the Zoom meetings and doing the flipped classroom where they're videotaping a lesson and sending that out and having the kids work on it. So I'm not sure if, I think what we need to look at is just identifying those households that are struggling and what teachers are working with and what the mode is. I think we're going to find that they're going to need, all the teachers are going to have to be able to provide some of the kids with paper pencil type activities, if that's the best mode. And we have to get more teachers maybe that aren't connecting on Zoom, trying to find ways for them to connect and make that personal connection. So I think we're going to see a wide range of kids that are being successful in different classrooms.
Somewhere there, do you think there possibly be maybe some input from students or families? I know just on a personal basis on this end, I'm hearing some things from students even. I mean, which is great input. I mean, who knows better if they're struggling? Or do we need to hear those things? And in a fairly quick manner. I mean, it's midterm time. Am I right, Brian? It's about midterm time. I mean, so there is some information out there right now, fairly accurate on how these kids are doing.
You want to say anything, Brian?
I'll just be quiet and wait till it's my turn to
Till
talk.
your turn, okay. So midterms would help. I know in the elementary, I had teachers that classroom teachers sent surveys home to parents probably a week and a half, just to get some feedback on is the amount of work that they're being asked to do too much? Are the activities manageable in the classroom? So I think individual teachers are getting, a lot of them are getting that. And I think that's something that we probably need to be more organized with. But I think some of those surveys are helpful. A lot of it is the teachers have good relationships with the parents. That's key. So a parent that's frustrated and not getting it done feels comfortable calling up the teacher and saying, this is too much, I can't do it. So we've had a lot of that too. And, but I think the more information and feedback we get, the better. And that's something that we should probably work on this week and make some adjustments. Any other questions? A couple other things I have on my notes. Health screening. I described the process we use for people coming into the building. We do require everyone to do a health screening check. We've put up a plexiglass barrier for where the person is doing the temperature checks. We're asking people to wear their face coverings when they are not able to social distance. And I think we've got most people in compliance, so we're just trying to protect everyone when we're in the building. We're still doing childcare services. When I wrote this, we were averaging 5 to 8 kids most days. We've had one tier 2 family that have alternate childcare right now for the immediate future. That might change. So we're basically down to 2 to 5 kids for childcare. So that has dwindled. At one time we had many as 11 kids. And then finally, staff schedule. Since the stay home order was placed on through May 4th, we still have continued to minimize people in the building. So we're trying to get people to work at home as much as possible. I have a rotation schedule for the office staff. So we do have people in the building working, but it's pretty minimal. I know Seth has got some of his custodians scheduled. We have food service and transportation and paras that are delivering meals. So we're really limiting the number of people in the building, but we are asking people to come in and so we can get the work done that needs to be done. And I think that might change, as the governor really loosens up some of the stay-at-home orders, and we look at ways that we can get some more work done. I think we can probably start looking at, and Seth has talked about this a little bit, about having custodians in a little bit more so we can start doing some of our summer projects. So anywhere we can social distance and work, we might start looking at having people spend a little more time at work here. That's all I have.
Hey, Jeff, this is a little bit disconnected to this conversation, but it is some information that I'm interested in. Are you still sending backpack things home?
The weekend packages?
Yes.
Yes. And
Okay.
I don't have it's not nearly as many kids that we send the weekly meals to.
Yeah, you're sending less home on weekends than the weekly
Yep.
meals. Yeah,
Yep.
I
No,
was
it's
just curious
probably-
about that.
I'm guessing 30 kids maybe, just off the top.
Okay.
head.
Versus to me, it looked like you were, just about doing the entire elementary on the
Yeah, we're
kids.
about 230 kids
Uh-huh.
that are getting the meals each day, Monday through Thursday. And then the
I mean,
back,
I think that's good. I just
Yep.
just wanted to know. Thanks.
and that could expand. I mean, we could get more requests for it as this drags on, so.
Yeah, I was curious about that. Thanks, Jeff.
Yep. That was a little long-winded, sorry.
There's a lot going on. Thanks, Jeff. So next on the agenda would be high school principal Brian Novak with some updates.
Hey, good evening, everybody. First of all, what I'd like to do is go back to the discussion to talk about interactive television. Years ago, when I was in the media center, I used to be the interactive television coordinator, and we actually had a variety of classes that we brought in to our school, and one of them was Spanish 1 and Spanish 2. And that was through a consortium called ECMEC, which is over in the Bram area. And so that is one area that we're looking at as far as bringing in interactive television. And in talking with the coordinator there, I started talking with Jason Stanek, who is the principal over in Bemidji. And they have a couple different classes and a couple different teachers that they're looking at expanding their foreign languages. And they have never offered it to other schools, but they would like to offer it to us. And they have a room all set up, and interactive television years ago used to be pretty expensive as far as having a variety of different TVs and a high streaming system. Well, now you can actually do what we're doing now is you can send it up on Zoom. You can set it up on, there's Microsoft Teams, there's Google Hangouts. There's a variety of ways that a teacher can teach. And plus, utilizing the document camera. So each student can be sitting here looking at the teacher and listening to the teacher. And it's live. And that's one of the things that kind of intrigued me, and plus be able to get it at a pretty decent price. And so we would be taking a look at Spanish 1 and Spanish 2 over at Interactive Television from Bemidji High School. And then Spanish 3, we could offer that through Apex Learning, and we've done that for the last number of years. Many of you probably already know this, but some of you may not, is that we've offered, and Boyd hit this note, we've had students right now, we've got a student taking Latin. We've got 5 students that are taking French 1 and French 2 through Apex. So we've got students that are currently taking online classes. So this is not new for Lake of the Woods School. And about a month and a half ago, I went online, the Ed Post, and looked at the number of positions that are out there for Spanish teachers. And I think I counted about almost 30 positions that schools are currently looking for Spanish teachers, full-time Spanish teachers. So I think this is an opportunity for us to save money. It's an opportunity for us to bring in. I mean, we're doing online learning right now, or distance learning, and I think it would be a great thing for our school. But not only Spanish, we'd also be able to take a look at college and the high school through Bemidji High School. And so our students would be able to get college credit, just like our students are getting college credit right now through college and high school. And we are looking at Jen Moeller teaching 12th grade college and the high school. So not everything would be interactive television. Jen would be teaching the seniors basically composition and American literature here at our school. So I'm going to open up for questions right now.
Oh, okay. I do have a question. So how many English classes was HG teaching? And then what would we be looking at, not replacing her and then offering in a different format?
As of right now, she was teaching English 11, 2 college and the high school classes, and then 2 Spanish classes. And then she had a prep and a study hall. And, oh, you're muted, Robin.
I must have clicked too fast. So Jen would be looking at taking over one of the college,
Correct.
and then the other college, if there was an offering, would have to be online. And then what about the 11th grade?
It would be interactive television.
For the other college level?
That would be for the juniors.
Oh, so the juniors would be ITV?
Not all of them, only the ones that were college and high school. We also have Aaron Schwensfire. We also have a small 7th grade coming in, and that 7th grade class would be one section. And so Aaron would teach one section of 7th grade, and then she would get the other section of 11th graders.
Okay.
So any other questions on that? So as Mr. Nelson said, we're still up in the air. We're still trying to get numbers. We're trying to just get
Hey, real quick, I can hit Robin, I'd also mentioned that this year's junior class has only got 27 students, so it's a really small class. So that might impact the number of sections of other English courses that we would offer.
And right now, I believe there are 10 students that are taking college English as juniors. So I would like to think that those 10 would move up to be seniors, and then there would be a class size of probably roughly 17 for that other English class. Any other questions on that subject? Okay, so I'm going to move on down to distance learning. And one of the things that that we have to realize is that this is distance learning. It's not online learning.
7 o'clock.
What was that? What was that? So, all right. So as far as distance learning, and we're not trying to duplicate the classroom, but what we're trying to do is provide quality instruction in a variety of ways, in a variety of resources, and a variety of methods. We know that some teachers are not online. I mean, they're not online teachers, they're classroom teachers. And this is a work in progress for everybody. And yes, if we went back and we could change some different things, I probably would. Instead of running all 7 hours, I would maybe do a 1, 3, 5, 7 on Monday and Wednesday, and do a 2, 4, 6 on Tuesday and Thursday. So there are a variety of different things that we could take a look at and changing. So one of the things I want to talk about is attendance. Our attendance is very, very well good right now. For example, April 13th, we had no students missing. So first hour teachers, what they do is they send out an email to their first hour class. And April 13th, we had 0 students unverified or unexcused. The 14th, we had 0, and this is 7 through 12. 15th, we had 3. 16th, we had 1. April 17th, we had 4. As of Monday the 20th, we had 6 students. Tuesday, or 4/21, we had 2. Wednesday, we had 7. Tuesday, we had 2. Friday, we had 4. And then yesterday, we had 6. So our numbers have been very, very good. Normally inside in the school, we would have anywhere between 10 and 12 that would be gone on probably a daily mess that the high school staff are calling and finding out whether they're unexcused or excused or medical. So
For the ones that are missing, like you get those 6 and 7 kids missing days, do they show up later, or is it only that first period that matters?
we just do it that first period. And it's also a matter of if they don't log in, they or click on, Jeff, can I share a document?
Yeah, you can try.
Okay.
I'm not sure how I have it set up.
Okay, I'm just gonna share. Oh, I can't do it. Okay, don't worry about it then. Sometimes it's a matter of if we can't get a hold of the parent and get a hold of the student, then it stays unverified. So it's a matter of having the cell phone or having the email and the parent getting back with us, or the kid going, yeah, I'm sorry, I totally forgot to log in, but I was working on my homework and stuff. So
Brian, try it again.
okay, so so this is kind of just an overall what is sent out. This is Mr. Sather's Health 10 attendance. So this is an email sent out, and then all the students do is they get this on a daily basis, and then they click their first hour attendance, and then it's emailed to the teacher, and the teacher goes online through their Synergy and actually takes attendance that way. And then what we do in this high school staff, or excuse me, the main office staff, is they kind of clean up the attendance for the elementary and the high school. So any other questions on that? One of the things I want to talk about now is a wellness check. We've done this for 3 weeks. I did not do it the last couple weeks because I'm changing the format of information I want to get. Because right now we mailed out course registration material. And so I want to kind of dedicate that towards getting information back from students. But this is one of the wellness checks where a student could click on feeling stressed about distance learning, feeling absolutely awesome and ready to embrace the world, feeling okay about distance learning, and feeling isolated and lonely. And Dee Dee and I are the only ones that get this information. And so Dee Dee can take a look at mainly concentrating on the students that are feeling isolated and lonely. And so she will contact them. So questions? Taking
For
a
the
look
ones that
at,
don't hit that initial first hour login, are they showing up later in the day, or is it requiring a phone call?
it depends. Most times they are showing up later in the day. And we have very, very few calls that the high school office or the main office are calling on the students. And some students are working full time. I've got a senior that works 10 o'clock in the morning until 7 o'clock at night. Some are working at the care center. So we've got a variety of students doing different things. And I want to make sure that staff knows to be very flexible. We want, even though that attendance goes out at roughly 8 o'clock in the morning, we want the students to know that if they can't get to it until 4 o'clock or 4:30 that afternoon, it's okay. Just click in because they're working on the stuff. Some students are working on their phone or doing different things throughout the day. So. One of the other things I wanted to talk about, I click here, maybe, is prom, graduation, some different numbers. We had a meeting last Friday, and Robin can talk about this too. What I presented to the seniors and to the parents was a list of dates for graduations. So these are the schools, and they are sticking to their graduation date. There was some thought that maybe we could graduate sometime in June or sometime in July or August, and schools are pretty much sticking to their graduation date. Reason being is that some students are heading off to service, some students are heading off to jobs, some students are leaving the area. Plus with many students have already been accepted for their colleges, and their colleges want that graduation date and that overall transcript, so that can all be sent off to the college. So it was pretty much agreed upon that we were going to stay with the graduation date of Friday, May 29th, and have that at 6 o'clock. But that also depends upon all of this information right here, as far as right now we've got a May 4th shelter in place, and Governor hopefully is going to do some updating as far as what we can do, how we can organize, how we can meet. So for graduation, we talked a variety of different things. This was actually an email or a survey that I did send out to the seniors, and out of 29 out of 41 seniors responded, keep it on the graduation date on Friday, May 29th. We're also looking at, if we do not return to school, where could we do a variety of have graduation at? And that depends upon the governor. It depends upon the shelter in place. It depends upon how we can group, I guess, and where we can gather. 28% of the seniors said keep it at school and gym, or at school and parking lot, or at school the football field. We're also talking about possibility of down at Willie Walleye Hill, where we can use the natural amphitheater down there, have the seniors down below. So there's a variety of different things, and And also looking at a parade through town after that ceremony, where we could actually have people gather on their front lawns as the seniors came downtown. Maybe we could get ambulance or fire or police cars or something like that. But we will have to meet. We will have to organize. One of the things I did promise the seniors, that graduation will have an organization that will include senior class officers, senior student council reps, student council president, vice president, senior class advisors, and myself. So we will have students being involved in the organization of graduation when we start hearing things as far as the governor and what we can do. All right, so questions, school board members?
Did been brought up about prom. I don't know if you're going to talk about that.
Oh, yeah, but first of all, anything on graduation?
What are we scheduled for, like June 4th this year? So
Nope.
are we bumping it up?
Nope, we were scheduled May 29th at 6 o'clock.
Okay.
Brian, I have heard just some rumblings in the community about doing banners on the light poles. Is there anything moving toward on that?
Oh, that's funny.
their
You should
pictures
ask
on
that
it?
question. So here's what AAA Booster did. We met last week and we approved, AAA is going to buy every single senior a banner. And it looks very, very nice. I don't have it for you right here, but I can send it to Mr. Nelson and he can kind of share with what it may look like. Every senior is going to get a banner. And what I did is I used School Messenger and sent it out, and the parents will be able to decide whether or not they want that banner to be hung by the light pole. So that is up to them. If they do not want their son or daughter hanging from the light pole in honor of the class of 2020, that's up to them. We will still print off a banner and give it to them free of charge.
Light poles along the school road, I assume, or downtown?
Downtown. Yeah, we've been talking with Rick Rohn and Roger, the city superintendent.
Thank you.
Chance we can that we can use the new billboard we got out there in front of the school. Any access to that?
Oh, for the arena?
Yeah.
I'm sure we can maybe do that and talk to Sam Lyon and get some things set up.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I mean, it's out
Yep.
there, public right there. People drive by it. Something.
And actually, it's not on here, but the arena also, I was informed that if we were interested in having our graduation in the arena might be available or would be available for us if it fit into what we could gather as far as gathering space and stuff like that. So we're still kind of on hold and waiting to see what we can do and what we can't do. Prom. So what we kind of talked about right now is prom within the school would be canceled, but that doesn't mean the post-prom would happen. Women of Today and Janice Nelson is kind of leading the charge on that as far as getting ideas and kind of waiting on where they could meet and how they could do it and how the students could gather, and if they wanted to have their own grand march, they could certainly do that. If something were to happen and Mr. Nelson was a part of our call, our discussion last Friday, you know, if let's say the school later this summer would be open to having the grand march and the post-prom party, then it could be held at the school. So there's so many different things that are up in the air right now. And what's kind of funny is that and then we also have to talk to the junior class, because a prom just isn't a senior thing. It's the junior class that actually puts it on. And so junior class is going to have some input on this also. Anything else?
Mr. Novak, can give me some emphasize on back to the students that might be struggling. I thought you were going to give a little bit of an update. Any
Great,
thoughts
thank
on where we can go with that, from monitoring it to what? Give me some thoughts that you're having.
All right. Yes. Thank you for bringing me back to that. It's one of the things I forgot. One of the things that we're also looking at is doing a student engagement list. And so just like they're doing in the elementary, we're doing it for the high school. One thing different is, you know, in the elementary, you've got a classroom teacher with 15 to 17 students. In the high school, you've got that one student could have 7 to 8 different teachers. And so what we want to be careful of is the bombardment of 8 teachers calling students, but maybe having 1 or 2 main teachers checking on that student, doing more of a mentoring, maybe more of a tutoring. We do have our Interflex set up in which that teacher has a combination of 7th, 8th, and 9th grade students every day. So we could actually use maybe that list. And so a teacher would have 17 students or 18 students instead of having every single hour of contacting. So there's a variety of different things that we're going to be looking at. And we do have midterms coming up here. And so all the teachers are updating their grade books within the next couple days, so we can really take a look at where we're at. And now that we know that we're not coming back to school and that we're going to be doing distance learning throughout the rest of the school year. So a couple different things we're looking at.
Okay. Something I think it might be an option too. Maybe there might be some students out there that want to help some other students.
Correct.
I mean, that's a possibility.
Yep. And I think going through National Honor Society, I think would be an awesome way to also do it too.
There you go. Thank you.
Since they have to get some hours anyways. Sorry, I'm writing down National Honor Society because I thought that was a good idea.
Thank you, Brian.
Anybody have anything else? Say, Brian, I just have a quick question. These thoughts you're having about like the planning on this coming Friday and then next Monday, those are planning days. Is that some of the time you're going to spend working through this process and reevaluating? Is that?
Yes. Actually, we've got a faculty meeting on Wednesday night. There are some things we're taking a look at, but just as some students are maybe not doing so well, we have quite a few students that are doing really well, and the system is set up and how they do things and the schedules. And we also don't want to do a wholesale change because we could mess some things up also. As far as Mr. Bertram, you mentioned as far as every student on one system, whether it's Google Classroom or it's Schoology or doing a student management system is very important. And I think that's something that Mr. Nelson and I want to take a look at as far as getting one system for our school, and so that everybody is talking the same vocabulary and everybody posts things the same, and we have a little bit of wiggle room throughout the school, but we are consistent with how we do things. So
yeah. I think the identification is pretty big on what we're like we just mentioned. Identify that would, that makes a lot of sense. Everybody being on the same system, but being able to identify what those issues are, I think is huge.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So, and then reacting whatever,
and tweaking some different things.
Would you say, Brian, just you've got a better handle on it? Would you say there's always going to be students that are going to struggle, but are there some students there that were pretty good students that are now just falling off the cliff?
I wouldn't say falling off the cliff. I would say, you know, it totally depends upon their resources at home and their management skills. You know, I guess taking a look at midterms and to kind of see where all the different students are at. I've had some students that you know, look online and see other schools canceling classes or are just passing and failing and you know, and not doing A, B, C, Ds. What I talked to our staff last week about is I want to do A, B, C, D, I, not A, B, C, D, F. I want to do those students that are struggling right now for a variety of reasons. I want to make sure that we wrap those security blankets around them and look at doing incompletes and not failing and move this towards the summer and really take a look at what they didn't have success with and maybe change some things up a little bit. You know, not every, you know, we want to be careful, and the governor said this the best. You know, we want to be careful on this is not online learning. There are schools out there that this is all they do. They do online learning. We're a public school. We offer a variety of resources and a variety of teaching and learning methods. And we want to do our very best with distance learning and providing those resources to the best of our ability. And now we've got a couple days to take a look at revamping some different things and having teachers doing some talking. And just like students are maybe some anxiety, I've got teachers that are very anxious too, because this is not their you know, their cup of soup. They like to have the kids within the classroom and not do everything online or through distance learning. So we will do a lot of talking, and we will do some updating. We'll probably do some changing, not wholesale changing, but with the next few weeks, we'll actually make it better.
Thank you, Brian.
You betcha.
Okay. Anything else for Brian? Jeff Nelson, I'm just seeing a comment from Seth, if it would be possible for him to follow Brian's presentation to make sure that he can make it to the field to turn the lights on. Any objection to doing that?
You're in charge. I don't have a, if you didn't know, it's the Be the Light in Minnesota is tonight, and they're doing a special tribute to our senior spring sport athletes. So they're putting up some jerseys and stuff. So I think that would be reasonable if Mr. Putz wanted to do his spiel, and then he could go out and help with getting that set up.
All right, I appreciate that. All right. So with that, we'll get right on. I'll try to keep this short. This meeting's it's running a little bit long, so I'll do the best I can. So did everybody get a report for the Minnesota audit results? I think, Jeff, did you get that posted?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I got a copy here. So we talked about this in our Buildings and Grounds Committee. And what we got, Minnesota Energy came in and did a physical hands-on audit of our school of the gas usage. And their overall results were, our school is in really, really good shape as for energy usage. If you look through the report, took time, they really had to stretch to find some of the recommendations of stuff that we could fix. And with the numbers looking at it, some of the things, the numbers it would take to fix it wouldn't make any sense. You would never get a return or anything on that for the amount that they got it on there. There are a couple smaller things like the water heaters in the rooms for the showers and everything. We did turn them down from 130 to 120, which is almost a couple $1,000 savings over a year's time. And Tim, I think when you and I talked about, when we had the meeting, you had mentioned about turning the heaters down in the pool. Is that correct?
Yeah, I wondered about that and, you know, a couple of the other little things. You're gonna go over this, I know, and I won't rain on you. Just there were a lot of small things you were doing and some of the big things we were putting on back burners, as I recall.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things I did after we got done talking, I went and looked at the pool to possibly turn down the temperatures and stuff to get them down. One of the issues, I decided not to do that. One of the issues that we have is the temperatures of the pool play a key part in the overall chemistry and the healthiness of the pool. If we drop the temperature, we would also have to chase the chemical balance and to get it down to a certain point. And then again, if the pool did open, we would have to go back the other way. We'd have to chase it up. And sometimes that's quite difficult to do. So my opinion with that, just the way it is sitting there, as long as they're not getting used, that temperature stays consistent and the pools are covered. So the heat stays in there. So the just not using them at this point has dropped the usage down considerably. Does that kind of answer your question, what we were talking about before, Tim? Okay, good, good. Yeah, there were some other things that got like automatic cold air return on the boilers. And some of them, the cost to put that on there for the overall return, it just doesn't make any sense to me to do that. So those are some of the things, some of these projects we've kind of looked at and went, you know, if it came time to do a complete replacement of the equipment, at that point, then we would look at doing upgrading everything to this point. So, but as for right now, that's kind of, this school is sitting very, very well with its energy usage. And like I said, with the report, they really had to dig kind of deep to find things. They have to recommend things. And so, you know, for them to dig that deep that's a pretty good sign of the shape of the school. So with that, any questions on that? Good. Okay. So we'll move on to the next one, which is the current cleaning protocol. We've been following kind of the same thing since about the second week we got into this. We're working very, very hard at sterilizing, cleaning, disinfecting. One of the things that we have done is we limited the numbers of rooms that are being used for like the daycare and stuff, so we can kind of contain an area that needs to be cleaned on a nightly basis. Also the bathrooms, and when the teachers come in, they need to sign in so the custodial crew knows which rooms that they have to go to clean. And that way we're not chasing them all over the place, and we can make sure that we get them. Well, any questions on that? Well, one of the things that we're going to be talking about coming up kind of related to that is with school being canceled for the rest of the year, vendors and people that need to do work coming inside the school, we're going to sit down this week and kind of figure out a protocol, how we could do that based on our restrictions and how healthy we want to keep the school. Well, I think we're meeting on Wednesday on that to kind of determine that. The projects for the summer being done, right now I'm running a very limited crew. Like Jeff said, we're keeping it as minimal people on staff as we can. So every time they come, every custodian that comes in, they have their regular job to do, but to keep them here 8 hours, they're also working on summer projects already. Some are like painting the halls, doing the carpets, working outside, stuff like that we can get a jump on, so we don't have to worry about it a little bit later and offer us opportunities for other things that come up. So any questions or concerns with that one? Well, that's pretty much all I got. Thank you guys for letting me jump in. Sorry, it's kind of short.
Thanks, Seth.
Yep. Oh, my wife just reminded me she's here as my coach tonight. We are looking into disinfecting spray systems. We're going to talk about that also. They do have disinfectant, what do they call it, static spraying systems. That's one of them that we're going to be looking at for an immediate fix. And I've been working with another vendor with positive ionization systems that run through the air handling units. And that is so far the tests that they run and the documentation that they've got. They have the places that are using it right now on averaging are seeing their absenteeism rate drop almost 60% per year. And this is something that they're finding out is really huge against the coronavirus too. So that's kind of what I got in the works. Just give you a heads up on stuff like that with moving forward with the disinfecting and the cleaning protocol of the school.
Thank you, Seth.
You're welcome. Thank you. And hopefully we'll see you guys out at the field at 8 o'clock.
Thanks, Seth. All right, I guess we're ready to move on to Crystal in the business office.
I guess I don't have much. Jeff covered most of it, but just to touch base on the cash flow spreadsheet, I'm working on that right now. Hopefully by the end of the week, I will have a better idea of where we'll be sitting. If it comes to the point of having to do some short-term borrowing, the only thing we would have to keep in mind would be we have to repay it within 45 days. So, and you can take, so if we took like a line of credit, for example, we could take 95% of 1 month expenditures. That's the amount we could take out. That would essentially cover missing that one payment we don't get from the state of Minnesota in June. And then we would just have to keep in mind that within 45 days, we would have to repay that. But hopefully then by July, we'd be getting that tax payment. So otherwise, I think Jeff covered all the other stuff.
Sorry.
Okay, any questions?
Oh, that's fine. That's okay.
Any
Where is
questions
that-
for?
Yeah, where does that line of credit come from?
I mean, we could just go to like Border State Bank because that's where we bank and try to get a line of credit. So, but like we have to keep in mind, 95% of your average monthly expenditures is the amount you could take out at max. And then it has to be paid within 45 days. So at this point, I think the only month we would be worried about is June, because we're gonna lose that. We're only gonna have the one payment from the state instead of two, but I'll have a better idea by the end of the week, I'm hoping is my plan.
And if I might add, Lorena also mentioned that there could be a possible partial payment depending on what the county collects, you know, so it might not be the
Right.
amount, it could be kind of a range depending on what they collect.
But right now, we just want to anticipate we're not going to get anything, so then we'll, yeah. That's all I have unless anybody has any questions.
Okay, thank you, Crystal. Moving on to Activities Director Chad Hazelton.
Hello. Well, as we all know, all the spring sports are canceled in coordination with Governor Walz's order to do distance learning for the rest of the school year. So we won't be having any spring activities. What we're going to do with our scheduling for next year is we're just carrying this schedule over to next year. So we're just flipping everything from this spring to next spring. We meet with the State High School League every Wednesday, and we've met with the Section 8 ADs a couple times via Zoom to just try and get things like that coordinated and work out some details and see what everybody else is doing. One of the topics that comes up a lot is what are you doing with spring sports coaches' salaries? It varies widely, but the majority of them are still paying them and finding other things for them to do in addition with them connecting with their student athletes and just being there for their well-being and emotional support, as well as offering ideas for workouts and things that they can do. So right now, all spring sports are considered out of season. So it'd be as if it were winter or fall for the, just like all the other coaches. Mr. Nelson and I have been talking. One duty that we could possibly give some of our lower level coaches would be to mentor some of these kids that are having trouble with engagement. So we could utilize these spring coaches that 3 to 5 hours a week to connect with a certain number of students on a daily basis, maybe for 10, 15, 20 minutes, whatever, just to check in with them. So they've got somebody outside of the teachers and somebody that's holding them accountable. It'd just be that one person where they wouldn't be getting bombarded by everybody. And then that coach could connect with the teacher or get them connected with the teacher if they needed to. So that's one idea. I shared a document with Mr. Nelson and a spreadsheet from what other schools in the state are doing. That's been updated, so he can take a look at that if he wants to look at the updated version of it. I don't know if he got the updated version yesterday. So any questions about any of that? Okay. Spring sports refunds, with everything being canceled, I suggest that we just go ahead and refund the spring sports fees that were paid out. If anything, the athletes got 1 week of solid activity in. We could offer them a credit, so we could do it either way. We could offer them a refund or a credit. That's really easy to do either of those through the Our School system with the registration. Just a matter of what you want to move forward with. It might be simpler just to refund everybody's instead of having some get refunds and some get credits. But either way, it's simple to do through the system. It's just what we want to do for tracking for next year. Crystal, any thoughts on your end there, what you'd like to see done?
I guess my thought is, as far as deciding which way we should go, it either needs to be like everyone's going to get refunded or everyone is going to use it for next year.
Okay, then I would say let's just go
Not
with
do
the
like
refund
half and
because of the
half, you know?
seniors.
What was that?
We just go with a refund because we've got seniors in there that aren't going to carry it over.
Then yes, I would agree with that.
So we can start that whenever you want. If you'd like me to take care of that, I can take care of that on my end. Or I can show you exactly how to do it, whatever you want to do with that.
Either way is fine, I guess. We could talk about that.
Okay. Other things with sports, there's some research coming out of the Netherlands, I believe, that says that your 6 foot social distancing is not enough when you're participating in athletic events. You need more like 20 to 30 feet of distance between you and the next person around you. So the high school league's not even sure what fall sports are going to look like yet, or summer training schedules or anything like that. So there's still a lot up in the air as far as what's going to happen with summer training and with fall sports next year. We don't have a good handle on that yet. Their Minnesota State High School League's lead medical person is really erring towards the side of not participating in anything right now until we really get a better handle on how this virus reacts and what it does. So we're just going to keep communicating with the State High School League and finding out what their recommendations are for participation. Brian and Jeff, we need to get together and talk about what it might look like for a return to participation layout. That's one thing that the State High School League is suggesting, to get together with the administration and figure out what will a return to participation look like in the future. So that's something that we're going to need to do also. That's, as we mentioned, we're doing the Be the Light on the field tonight, and we've done it the past few Mondays. Girls softball and track and field are hanging jerseys on the fence tonight for the seniors. Brent, if he's still there, Brent, are you doing for baseball tonight? Or are you going to do that next week? Or
I was planning on going out tonight, but I don't think I'm going to have time.
okay, so my suggestion then would be just baseball and maybe golf do next week. Be nice to have it split up a little bit.
Sounds good.
we've got Jeff and Brian also talked about this as PBIS and SEL support. I meet with Joyce Beckel weekly to talk about attendance and engagement with the elementary students. We connect with the parents if we need to. We've had Zoom meetings with parents and teachers to try and give teachers support. We're gathering names of students. We've got Google Drive started on students with engagement. So we're tracking kids that may need more help next year when we come back. How can we support them now? Helping with parents. I'm posting Love and Logic and PBIS support tips on my Google site for the school. Simple things, talks about routines, talks about setting limits, just little things that teachers do in the classroom that parents can use with their students if they're having difficulty getting them to do their work or getting them to be engaged. We did get an SEL grant, and Jeff, you can talk more about that if you wanted. I don't have a lot of the details on that, but for next year, we're going to be adding some SEL services for the future. So that's pretty much all I have.
Thanks, Chad.
You want me to talk about the SEL grant next month, or do you want me?
Yeah, whenever you want. I just wanted to bring it up.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's basically, I think it's $35,000. It's either a 2 or 3 year. I'm trying to remember. It's been so long. But it's basically training staff on kind of where we're heading right now with SEL, so that it's more consistent across the board. So I can put it right up and give you more details next month, but we did get approved for that. So every little dollar helps, so.
Jeff, what does SEL stand for?
Oh, sorry, acronyms. Emotional learning. And it talks about helping kids to self-regulate, how to deal with frustrations, how to calm themselves and use their thinking brain, and not overreact to things, how to problem solve. So it's very applicable to what kids are going through right now. Quick little story, we do a lot of stuff with breathing, deep breathing, because that actually does help calm your nerves, stimulates your brain activity, engages the thinking part of your brain. And I have a kindergarten granddaughter who has been very good about telling me Grandpa, you need to take some deep breaths. So she's got different names for different breaths and stuff. So it's teaching some of those self-help skills. And it starts in the elementary, but it's also applicable as kids get older. So what we're trying to do with the grant is to provide more staff training so that we can utilize that throughout the students' life at school.
Thank you. Okay, last on the working session agenda is community ed and transportation. Brent Cole.
Hi, everyone. Sorry you can't see me tonight. My computer does not have a webcam. I'll start with transportation. Right now, we're having our bus drivers deliver meals and classroom materials. So right now we're taking 236 meals out every single day. That's breakfast and lunch. And on the last day of the week, we're delivering classroom materials, and we're bringing back to the school anything they need to turn in. We have 7 routes going out, and we're using all of our type 3 vehicles and 1 mini bus. In the bus garage, we are working on cleaning all the buses up and pretty much getting ready for summer. We're going to start cleaning the bus garage itself here in the next week or 2. Community ed, everything has pretty much come to a halt. I have talked to a few weight room members, and I think the plan with that is when we do get started and that's open again, we're just going to give everyone that, we're just going to give them a credit on what they've paid so far. Not a lot, I guess. Is there any questions?
No questions for Brent? Okay. Anything else on the working session?
We have food service report.
Oh, sorry, next page. Sorry, Stacy.
That's okay. Hi, everyone. Just want to update you on how many meals we have delivered. When we first started on March 18th, we delivered 152 breakfasts and lunches. Not only delivered, but we had in that count is daycare and the grab and go that was in the kitchen and at our door. We had families that came to the door and picked up meals too. Today, we had 468 breakfast lunches. And for a total of, for the month and a half, basically from March 18th till April 27th, we have delivered 9,075 meals. And by the end of the month, April 30th, Jackie and her crew will have made and delivered over 10,000 meals. So that's pretty awesome. And that's about all. Anybody has anything?
It's a pretty good feat to provide those many meals and
Yeah, kudos to that
Kudos.
staff. That's quite an accomplishment.
They do an awesome job.
And I'd also like to throw out a heads up for Brent Cole, because trying to take the bus routes that we had and refiguring it and putting it into 7 different routes. And not only do we have bus stops, but we're actually delivering to every household of every student in the district to deliver those meals on a regular basis and to pick up things. So he's probably pulled out all his hair, so that's probably why he ripped the camera out of his computer. Maybe. I don't know, but
I think all the staff, I've heard such good things, and that's really nice.
yep, people have stepped up.
Thanks, Brent. You're doing a great job. And Cece.
Okay, well, I think that's it. Yeah, thanks to all staff. Sounds like there's a lot of really good stuff going on, so we do appreciate that. I guess now it is time to move on to the regular meeting. Sorry, just getting organized.
So do you want the agenda up on the screen shared, or just leave it the way it is? What would people prefer?
Why don't you put the agenda on the screen, please?
Okay, everyone see it?
Yeah,
Thank you, Jeff.
see it here. Okay, and I think just to help out when you do make a motion, if you could use your name, just so we know who made the motion and the second. And then also we will be doing a roll call vote. So once the motion is made, discussion, and then I will run through the list of each person, and you just vote yes or no, yay or nay. So anything else that I missed on that? I probably want to have mics on so we can hear motions as they come. Or if you do mute, just be mindful of the delay. So I will call the meeting to order at 7:49. And just want to recognize that this is the time when we normally do the Pledge of Allegiance, but I'll just probably skip that this time through. And then I need a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Lyon.
Robin will second.
Okay. Motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All right, we'll vote. Ellis,
Aye.
Johnson,
Yes.
Aye.
Trask, yes. Sonstergaard,
Aye.
Lyon,
Aye.
and Bertram.
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes. Next, we have the approval of the consent agenda, which will be the minutes, approval of invoices and statements,
This is
personnel
Ellis.
resignation. Oh,
Oops, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Go ahead.
personnel resignations, retirements, and appointments. For resignations, we have Rob Perla, science teacher, robotics coach, and Colleen Stanton, kindergarten teacher. And for appointments, we have Jeremy Weiland, social studies teacher, and Nishaya Vesley, special education teacher.
I'll make that motion.
Oh.
This is Ellis.
Second by Bertram.
Okay. Any discussion?
Difficult to
Alright.
discuss it at length here, but I want to say thanks, obviously, to those two for many, many years of service. I read the letters. Colleen Stanton, 31 to 37 years, depending on what positions. And that's quite a tenure at Lake of the Woods School, so thank you. I know both my kids had her. And then Rob Perla also did just a fine job in a little bit of a shorter time span, but he points out in his letter that we are going to be parallel-less for the first time in almost 4 decades.
I remember he also, it doesn't mention there also that he did Knowledge Bowl for at least a couple of years, I remember, and did a great job.
Anything else? Thank you for summing that up. All right, roll call vote. Ellis,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Trask, yes. Sonstergaard,
Aye.
Lyon,
Aye.
Bertram.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next on the agenda is board presenters. Yes, there are none that I'm aware of. Jeff is shaking his head no. So written communications, no written communications. On to old business. We're looking for a motion and a second to approve the third reading and adoption of policies 709, student transportation safety policy, removal of policy 423A, activity passes for school staff, and removal of policy 402A, non-discrimination HIPAA.
Johnston will make the motion.
Bertram.
Second by Lyon.
Do you want to include the item B, approval of the second reading or of 524 in that motion? Or do you need a separate motion for that?
That will be a separate motion. That's how it is on my group
Okay.
sheet here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lynn. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Otherwise, roll call vote. Ellis,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Trask, aye. Sonstergaard,
Aye.
Lyon,
Aye.
Bertram.
Aye.
Motion passes. Then we will be looking for a motion and a second to approve the second reading of policy 524, Internet Acceptable Use and Safety.
Johnson will make the motion.
Second by Lyon.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay, vote. Ellis,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Trask, aye. Sonstagaard,
Aye.
Lyon,
Aye.
Bertram.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay, on to new business. Looking for a motion and a second to approve the fiscal year 21 achievement and integration budget.
I'll make that motion, Ellis.
Second by Bertram.
Any discussion? Okay, calling for a vote.
I have one question. There, I'm remembering this, Jeff, but I saw that there was some sort of an incentive bonus there, or $5,000 or $6,000 in the packet. What do you have to do to achieve that?
That's an additional piece of the grant that Brian wrote, and that's for Beyond the Bell. And that is something that we might try to incorporate if we're allowed to do some summer credit recovery. It's to pay staff to tutor students after school type tutoring type program. Correct, Mr. Novak? So that's what that's for, Tim. That's
Okay.
Okay, anything else? All right, I'll call for a vote. Ellis,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Trask, aye. Sonstagaard,
Aye.
Lyon,
Aye.
Bertram.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we're looking to adopt Resolution 2019/2020-23 to accept a $200 donation from the Moose Club of Badette for Prairie Fire Children's Theater.
I'll make. the
Johnson will
motion.
make the motion.
I'll be first or second, whichever. This is Robin.
Okay. All right, so I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, I just want to acknowledge their donation. Thank you. And call for a vote. Ellis,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Trask, aye. Sonstagaard,
Aye.
Lyon,
Aye.
Bertram.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. And looking to adopt a resolution 2019/2020-24 to accept a $25 donation from Marilyn Erickson for Prairie Fire Children's Theater.
Lyon, motion.
Second by Bertram.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, thank you for that donation. Call for a vote. Ellis,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Trask, aye. Sonstagaard,
Aye.
Lyon,
Aye.
Bertram.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Looking for a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2019/2020-25 to accept a $100 donation from the First Congregational Church of Badette for Angel Fund.
Motion by Lyon.
Second by Sonstagaard.
Any discussion? Thank you, First Congregational Church. Vote, Ellis,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Trask, aye. Sonstagard,
Aye.
Lyon,
Aye.
Bertram.
Aye.
Motion passes. Looking for a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2019/2020-26 to accept a $200 donation from Senexa Badet for Prairie Fire Children's Theater.
Bertram will
Motion by
make the
Johnson.
motion.
For second.
Okay, that got
It's 8
Bertram.
o'clock.
Bertram with a motion and a second by,
Johnson.
okay, thank you. Any discussion? Thank you, Senex. Roll call vote. Ellis,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Trask, aye. Sonstagard,
Aye.
Lyon,
Aye.
Bertram.
Aye.
Motion passes. Looking for a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2019/2020-27 to accept $2,600 donation from Lakewood Regional Healthcare Foundation for ADA Filtered Water Stations Project.
I'll make that motion, Ellis.
Second by Lyon.
Okay. Any discussion? Thank you, Lakewood Foundation. And vote. Ellis,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Trask, aye. Sonstagard,
Aye.
Lyon,
Aye.
Bertram.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. And looking for a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2019/2020-28 to accept a $50 donation from Gretchen Mamel and Jeffrey Bertram for Prairie Fire Children's Theater.
I'll make a motion. This is Sonstagard.
I'll second, Ellis.
Okay. Any discussion?
Way to go, Bertram.
Thank- Yeah, thanks, Jeff and Gretchen. All right. Vote, Ellis,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Trask, aye. Sonstagard,
Aye.
Lyon,
Yep.
Bertram.
Aye.
Motion passes. Looking for a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2019/2020-29 or 29 to accept a $140 donation from Bethlehem Lutheran Church of Badet, donation for the backpack program.
I'll make that motion, Ellis.
Second by Lyon.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Thank you, Bethlehem Lutheran Church. And vote, Ellis,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Trask, aye. Sonstagard,
Aye.
Lyon,
Aye.
Bertram.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay. Looking for a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2019/2020-30 to accept a $50 donation from Carol and Roger Birkland for Prairie Fire Children's Theater.
I'll make that
Lyon, a
motion.
motion.
Whoops.
Second
I'll
by Lyon.
second. Doesn't matter who,
Yep.
Ellis and
Flip the
Lyon.
coin.
Ellis and Lyon, okay. Thank you. Any discussion? All right, well, thank you, Carol and Roger Birkland. And a vote, Ellis,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Trask, aye. Sonstagard,
Oh. Aye.
Lyon,
Aye.
Bertram.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Jeff, could you maybe forward on to the next page of the agenda? I think. Maybe. I'll keep moving on. Looking for a motion in a second to adopt resolution 2019/2020-31 to accept a $100 donation from VFW Auxiliary Post number 723 for Prairie Fire Children's Theater.
Motion by Lyon.
Okay,
Second by Ellis.
okay, we got a motion and a second. Thank you to the VFW Post 723 and vote. Ellis,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Trask, aye. Sonstagaard,
Aye.
Lyon,
Aye.
Bertram.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Discussion and everything, but how's the Prairie Fire doing as far as funding? We've seen a lot of donations here.
That would be CC or Brent would probably have more information on there. I don't have that off the top of my head. Sorry.
It'd be interesting to see if there is, need to ask them if it's going to get canceled or.
Well, we're running it through community ed, so it's probably postponed, but they are, I mean, I'm sure this is money that they can use for their next production whenever they can have one here. So, but I will find out where they are with those donations. But I know CC would have that, so. Did the agenda change finally?
Yeah, it did. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay. All right. So Jeff, you'll find out how they're doing on that. Let us know.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Looking for a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2019-2020-32 to accept a $100 donation from American Legion Auxiliary of Baudette for the backpack program.
Motion by Johnson.
Second by Bertram.
Any discussion? Okay, thank you to the American Legion Auxiliary. And call for a vote. Ellis,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Trask, aye. Sonstagaard,
Aye.
Lyon,
Aye.
Bertram.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Looking for a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2019/2020-33 to accept a $50 donation from, oh, is that retyped? Nope, sorry. It's just a different one. Okay. To accept a $50 donation from American Legion Auxiliary of Baudette for the Ticket to Read program.
I'll make that motion, Ellis.
Second by Lyon.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, thank you again, American Legion. Vote, Ellis,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Trask, aye. Sonstagaard,
Aye.
Lyon,
Aye.
Bertram.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. And looking for a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2019/2020-34 to accept a $50 donation from Brian and Joyce Palm for Prairie Fire Children's Theater.
Motion by Lyon.
Second by Johnson.
Okay. Any discussion? Well, thank you to the Palms. Call for a vote. Ellis,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Trask, aye. Sondergaard,
Aye.
Lyon,
Aye.
Bertram.
Aye.
Motion passes. And last but not least, looking for a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2019/2020-35 to accept a $500 donation for Lake of the Woods County for the Prairie Fire Children's Theater.
Motion by Lyon.
Okay.
Second by Bertram.
Any discussion? All right, thank you to Lake of the Woods County, and we'll call for a vote. Ellis,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Trask, aye. Sondergaard,
Aye.
Lyon,
Aye.
Bertram.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next, we're looking for a motion and a second to approve the Herculift annual inspection quote.
I'll make the motion, Lyon.
Second by Bertram.
Okay, any discussion?
I understand the need to do it properly. I just was wondering why in the past it's always been done by somebody on staff. Did Reed have a certification in that, or is that something changed?
I'll have to look in for exact details. I believe so, but don't quote me on that, but I will find out why the changes are.
Is that a student lift? Is that what that is, or is it a freight lift?
I think it's a man lift.
Yeah,
Mhm.
You know, it's a single person
it's-
man lift, maybe 20
Yeah.
feet in extension.
I think it's the one that we use for changing the light bulbs in the auditorium and that type of thing. It's
Okay,
the one that goes quite far up there. But I will find out.
I knew it said man lift on the thing, but I wasn't sure if that meant it lifted people, like a I was thinking patient care or, like student care or something. I don't know what I was.
My question is just because as I remember, once again, it's not in front of me, but $350, I think, for the inspection is an annual inspection.
Yeah, it has to do with, I'm looking at Seth's notes here. It's to be compliant with OSHA. So I don't.
Right. And my
requirement
guess,
of-
oh, sorry, I stepped on you there. I apologize. My question was not so much to question that as it was if Reed was certified, would that be a certification that we push Seth to get into, just because $350 a year is a fairly pricey thing if we can get him certified?
Yeah, I can look into that. I'm just thinking contract negotiations, discussions. I don't remember any kind of certification license that we had for inspecting the lift.
Okay.
I'll have to look into that. I don't have a good answer for you.
Yep.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, we'll call for a vote. Ellis,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Trask, aye. Sondergaard,
Aye.
Lyon,
Aye.
Bertram.
Aye.
Motion passes. And we're looking for a motion and a second to approve the contract interquest detection canines effective September 2020 through May 2021.
I'll make the motion, Johnson.
I'll second the motion, Ellis.
Any discussion? Okay, call for a vote. Ellis,
Aye.
Johnson,
Aye.
Trask, aye. Sondergaard,
Aye.
Lyon,
Aye.
Bertram.
All right,
Motion passes. Okay, at this time, is there any other business? If not, I guess we'll
I
adjourn the
just,
meeting.
I
Oh.
have one comment. Was anyone able to open the board member reimbursement file that got sent out? I couldn't open mine in a printable format.
I was
could.
able to open mine.
Were ya? Maybe
Mhm.
maybe I just opened it in the wrong form or something. And it didn't do like a text wrap or anything on yours?
No, and I can't, to be honest, I can't remember if it was a PDF or a Word, but I
Okay.
printed it off and filled it out. I'm going to scan it and send it to Danny tomorrow.
Okay, perfect. I just wasn't sure if anyone, maybe it's just me. It's usually operator error with me. Thank you, Robin.
May I interject? Lynn and Corinne, I got all the documents that we need to sign every month. Lynn, I can just bring you that and I'll do a curbside drop off. I can just drop it on your step and you can sign everything. And I can bring it back to the school and then I'll get it to Corinne.
Okay,
Sounds good.
Corinne, you did a very nice job tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, Grace under pressure. Nice job.
Good job.
Robin, you see,
Yep.
you would have did a fine job also. You would have got,
Well, I'm glad
Yeah.
that Corinne got her stuff figured out so we could hear, so I didn't have to. It's
Well, that
probably
was-
better that way. I have a lot of geese honking in the background. It would have maybe been a little distracting at times.
sounded okay.
would
I
have been
thought
one
that
of,
was, I thought that was Snoop.
it would have been one of those places where I would have had to take a deep breath or several.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Alrighty, thanks everyone.